You're listening to The Startup with Monique Lore, only on LA Talk Radio.
How's it going, Los Angeles? This is The Startup with Monique Lore. I'm Monique Lore, coming to you with a fresh new episode. I want to say thank you to everyone that's tuned in. We're only a couple weeks away from our 5-year anniversary. Well, I'll be in studio with Jay. And well, actually, Jay will be coming. Jay Heckendorf to London will be doing a remote call, but I will be in studio with Sam. And I'm excited about the 5-year. I can't believe it. It's been a whirlwind, and we're looking to really move the needle and make some things happen. Thank you to all our sponsors, everybody that supports us. And I want to introduce our guest today, Anthony Charpentier. Welcome to The Startup. How's it going?
It's going great, Monique. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. I am friends with your sister, Christina, and that's how we know each other. And I really just love our sisterly synergy we've created. Your sister was a supporter on the Pandemic Project documentary, as well as her husband, Keith. And you and I got to know each other. And I'm really excited for the things you're doing. I think you're speaking in a space that needs leadership. And I find you to be so interesting, and you've come so far and you've overcome so much. So why don't we let the listeners and viewers hear who you are, hear where you were, and then, you know, what you've gone through and where you're going. So we'll go full screen, and please introduce yourself.
I appreciate it very much. So my name is Anthony Charpentier. My brand is The Custom Gentleman. What really, spoke to me about this brand was the lack of etiquette as far as men are concerned. And then what I would say happened was more or less, having a complete understanding of where, as men, we lack in the aspect of relationships, interpersonal, personal, uh, uh, you know, business, etc. So what I did was come up with my brand, The Custom Gentleman. And what led me to this point in my life really was all of my, what we would say, what we call as failures, but they were really learning experiences overall. So the very beginning of my life, from 18 until about 34 years old, I spent my time in the Marine Corps. Uh, had a lot of adversities that I had to face, anywhere between going to combat for multiple years in a row from 2004 to 2007, which is 4 direct years. And then coming back and battling issues with PTSD, alcohol rehabilitation, and even drug abuse while I was active duty. So I looked at all of that, and I had to, look at myself and take responsibility for all of my actions and accountability, and then, make the change that I wanted to see. So after my military career, really, there was other adversities that happened, such as, I went into the prison industrial complex for text messages. So in the Department of Corrections in Florida, they have laws against that. And it wasn't even anything like we would say, it was more harassing text messages with an ex and I going back and forth. And I looked at that and I had to literally take accountability and say, all right, what are you doing with your life? Where are you going to go with this? How are you going to give back to society? Because, you know, being in the military, you're doing what? You're providing a service. What is my service going to be? How am I going to be better for people? And I looked at myself and I said, you know what? I gotta make just drastic changes. And I did, and I have. Um, Through mental health counseling, therapy, rehabilitation, um, and then taking myself and literally saying, okay, what are you going to do at this point? So I began writing a book, and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and let me tell my story and what got me to this point. On top of all of that, I was before that I was a physical trainer. Um, I've been doing that for a long time, but that's a huge part of my journey that led me away from alcohol abuse and drug abuse, and it led me into a healthier lifestyle. Which, if you're physically healthier, your brain operates a little bit different. It's a little bit, I would say, even better, because you're not introducing chemicals into it that are that can really change your perspective and your overall thought processes. So as I'm going through my life adventure and I'm really focusing on being a better person, I had to look at myself and say, I don't want to leave I don't want to leave a bad influence to anybody. And especially being somebody who's been in service and went to combat for their country, and wanted to be a positive influence, specifically because my realm is men. Yeah, I was in the infantry. So I was around men all the time. And I absolutely see a destructive path that men will sometimes go on, especially from combat all the way to, abuse of alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and how these dynamics can really affect their mental health. So it made me really, really think like, okay, in order to do this, in order to be a better person, and so everybody can put together something from this, it would be truly resilience and being able to accomplish things that you didn't think you could based off of, hey, this was how I was programmed. This is what I had to go through. And yes, this is what I've overcome. And I'm very proud of these steps that I had to take. Was it a growing process? Absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a quick analogy. There was somebody who told me, her name is Monique. She said to me, I want to say it was like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, pre-pandemic, pandemic. She said, would you change anything in your life? And I was like, yeah, I wish I would have never got in trouble while I was in the Marine Corps. And she's like, but really, would you? And specifically, I was like, yeah, absolutely. She's like, no, because if you took that in that experience and you said, hey, we have to look at life as a chain, right? So with every link in the chain, that's an experience of your life that changed you, who you are, the man that you are. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of ingenious, right? And she's like, you take out one of those links to the chain, then the chain is broken. So to me, every link in the chain that was my personal experience is a growth and development process, and it absolutely helped me develop into the man that I am today, and I'm very proud of that. Do I feel like I should have done a better job to start with? Absolutely. However, though, it doesn't work like that for every person. um, and it brings me directly to my brand today of the Custom Gentleman. So the Custom Gentleman brand is literally formed for men's etiquette. Um, and we're talking from how to give a eulogy, how to appropriately dress for a business, or your business mindset ventures, anything about fiscal responsibility, emotional intelligence, emotional security, how to provide this in relationships. It's a plethora about just being a man today in this kind of environment, society. And without getting too much into the political aspect, we can look at it as the toxicity in which politics really speaks to us today, and how we can do a couple of different things as far as, I would say, making changes in ourselves that are going to make us overall like better people, and how we think about certain aspects, whether it's in the political realm or just, I would say, holistically, or even equality. All right, so we have to take all of these different aspects and look at them and say, what is going to be the best for the people around us, the ones that we love, how we're going to influence, society overall. And philosophically, I think that, what is the golden rule? Basically is what, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Um, and I think that overall, as humans, that's what we want. We want to do well for each other, right? So my brand is literally for men. It's designed for men to help them become a better person overall. And that's what I love outside of my other business ventures that I have, supplement business, and then my personal training business is, this is my brand, and it's going to be, it's going to all come together, I guess, um, within whenever I launch my brand in the next 6 to 10 weeks. It's really, I'm really excited about it. And plus the book itself is really, really about resilience. It's funny. The book is funny. However, though, um, you're going to see the adversity to it, and it's. I'm excited. I'm really excited to get my story out there, and not to mention, as humans, I think the pattern should be we find little things in ourselves that we want to change, and then we ultimately make those changes and hold ourselves accountable so that we don't keep faltering again and again and again. I think overall that's who we are as people. We all want to do well for each other, and that's kind of going back to my philosophy: do unto others as you'd have done unto you. That's the golden rule, right? At least that's the way I feel about it. So that's a lot about me. Well, a little bit about me, I should say.
Thank
um
you.
in
No,
this
thank
time.
you. You know what? You really covered it, and I think that's a beautiful intro, Anthony. Thanks for quoting me. I don't remember saying that to you, but it sounds like something I have said before because
Oh,
that's
you did.
something.
It was amazing, actually. I Because it made me really think. It's just like, all of these different links in the chain. Those are your experiences, whether positive or negative. It really helps you. Like, oh wow, that's the absolute truth. You take out that one negative thing that you learned a valuable lesson, so that
Yeah,
you never do it again, right? And
yeah.
then it's just like, wow, that it's inspiring. It's really inspiring.
I love that. No, you know what? I think I do. I subscribe to that. I believe that. I mean, it's been a lot. It's been a lot lately. And it's just been this adulting thing is not for sissies, right? It's not for the weak.
It's not. It's not.
And then you want to throw a business on top of it, and you've got to. So I really love that you're leaning all in and you're showing men, young men, middle-aged men, older men, and you have been a man of service. You have served the country. You have provided the right for people like myself to stand up tall and step into their power in this country. So that already is setting precedents, for your legacy. So how you're taking that stew of different items, on your path, and you're making this beautiful meal of your life. I love it. And so I really want to get into the
Thanks.
part. You're welcome. I really want to get into the part about what does this look like, right? Because there's a lot of young men that are like, you know what, I want to do this with the ladies, and we've all been in our 20s, right? We've all been in our early 30s, but like, how does this translate? What is like a tangible thing that we can see change with the custom gentleman? I know you spoke on some items that you want to affect for men, but for that young man, right? Like graduating high school, 18, not sure what he wants to do. Like, how can you step in and be kind of a voice?
So essentially, um, there's two words. It's really like your image consulting, right? So how do you want to portray yourself to the world? How do you want to be seen by other people in the world, right? That's what it literally comes down to. What is your ambition? What are your goals? How do we attain them? What's your short term, long term? What educational endeavors, all the way down to your business endeavors? What do you see yourself financially? Do you want to be in the middle class? Do you want to be upper middle class? Do you want to be the next tax bracket? What is it? And then, are you innovative? What's your skill set? What is it that you bring? It's a little bit more challenging with younger men, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because our brains don't finish developing until we're 25 years old. Therefore, our maturity, the way that we envision ourselves, also everything that we do to our brains before then. So a little bit about me too is I've studied on my own biochemistry and physiology. So we have I do a lot of studying through publication medicine. In different health institutes, including USF, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to take these things into consideration whenever we're talking about image consulting too. What's your age? What's your financial status? What's your relationship status? Where do you see yourself? What are your educational endeavors? And what is it? Are you willing to put 100% into it? Or is this going to be something part-time? There's a lot that goes into it, but that's essentially what it comes down to, is just basic image consulting. And since I'm older now and I'm a little more, I would say, versatile in these types of endeavors, I think that I will bring a certain niche to these young men and whoever else. that wants to be consulted, I will be able to bring that to the table. It's just a lot. Whenever we start talking, we're opening up a book to all these different things, from business all the way down to your personal image, because we can even talk about your physical appearance whenever you walk into a room full of businessmen. They're not, without getting too, I guess, simple minded, you're not going to want to walk into a bunch of millions and millions of dollars and being looking like a slob. You're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to be put together well, and then you're going to want to actually be able to speak well, um, which goes into another topic, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. No, you've covered it. And that's really great because as you step into this space and you're offering these consultations, I see the many prongs. And it sounds like you're tackling three to five of them at the top of it. Like when you do your discovery call, you're finding it out, what it is and identifying those things. And that's smart. So right now, I think that you're filling in the gap, right? But you're also speaking honestly about, here, this is what I did and it didn't work so well. Here's, the better sauce, right? This sauce didn't work here, but I got the secret sauce. And I think that comes from experience and wisdom. Are they willing to listen? Who is your audience? Are they willing to listen and see that you've turned nothing into something? I wonder.
So this is the way that I look at it. Whenever you see, let's say this, whenever you see somebody trip over themselves so many times, they take accountability for it and they wisen up, or they don't take accountability for it. Lacking accountability is the number one thing that people will always look at. Okay, saying, okay, this right here in particular, I trip and fell, I got a DUI, right? And then I trip and fell again, I got another DUI. Well, I didn't learn my lesson the first time, so why would I listen to somebody like that? However, let's talk about somebody who went to recovery after that other DUI. They learned their lesson, right? Because they're in recovery. They said, I tell you what, I want to be the change that I want to see. And they're not going to do it again. And that is the difference. That is the difference between that person you want to listen to and the person you don't want to listen to. It's the same thing over and over again. And whenever it goes into even talking about the prison industrial complex, how I ended up in that crazy array of wowness,
Well, I mean, let's just pause right there, like for 2 minutes. Like, how did you do? Like, how did you mentally? You must have tapped into some of your training from the military, but like,
absolutely,
how did you
absolutely.
survive that?
So whenever a person goes to prison, um, and I had the survivability skills of basically living, right? So you're around bad people, and I learned that real fast. You're around, 50% drug dealers, the other 50% is bad. 50% of drug dealers, you're just looking at them as like, hey, quite honestly, you ended up in the system because the United States of America has a drug problem, period, the end. You sold some dope, you got caught, there was a sting, you got caught, the end. And that's half of them. But the other half, the ones you have to navigate, are the ones that are hardcore gang members, murderers, uh abusers of, like specifically, like there was a lot of individuals there for beating women, for child molestation, things like that. You're around bad people. So to navigate into those waters, you had to be specifically careful of who you knew or who you let know your business, what you told them, and then no matter where you at, depending on what prison you're at, but no matter what state you're in, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to physically fight. And the reason why is because a lot of times you're getting tested. You're getting tested to see basically if you have the intestinal fortitude to get in the grid. You have to lace your shoes up and you have to get in the grid because somebody's going to steal your food. Now, if you let somebody steal your food or take your food from you, you have to grid. You have to go there and do that. And that's just the way it is. Um, I didn't make the prison rules. I just, I lived in it. I understood it, and I did what I had to do. Simultaneous, though, there's also rules against child molesters and individuals that conduct sexual assault. Those individuals are classified at a higher level because we have, as convicts, we have internal justice in the system. I don't I don't know. I can only speak for the Department of Corrections in Florida. So there's usually some type of abuse that comes along with it. You know what I mean? Whether it's a mental abuse, a physical abuse, or just whatever. We put them out. We don't want any child molesters or rapists or any of that in our dorms. So we have them tap out. We have them check out. You know what I mean? So whenever I say check out, that means they go press the button on the wall and be like, "Hey, I fear for my life." You know.
Wow. So you're right. Yeah, I've heard of this internal justice. And what I find so riveting, though, is to go from that space and just function and make it through. And you're here with us today and coming out and going, you know what? I'm about to do something so amazing. I've been seeing you on the other podcasts. You're also speaking in the dating relationship space. I mean, you're really biting off a lot, but we need men like this to say, I've been in the dark place and now I know how to navigate the light. And here's what we can do. Like, you're in this like love relationship space. You're inspirational. I don't know. You guys need to follow Anthony on Facebook because he's got some inspirational posts there. But you're still just this like maverick and Renaissance man for love and for culture and for what is right. And your true spirit shines through. I'm excited to see what the Custom Gentleman does in the love space as well. Can you talk a little bit? We only have about 9 minutes left, but can you talk a few minutes about the love and relationship space and filling in those gaps and speaking to men?
Okay, so yeah, I'd love to talk about this. In particular, growing up in the 80s, being born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s, and understanding that tough love was the main love that we received. Nobody really talked about emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, emotional security. They didn't talk about, the foundation for emotional security, how to create emotional security with your significant other. How to actually how to speak life into them, talk to their love language, understanding the relationship aspects, not in the aspect of domestic, male responsibilities, female responsibilities, gender roles, none of that. It's more of talking to the individual of their to make them feel secure. What is it? Who, what, when, where, why, how. Those are all called the reporting questions. So in these reporting questions, whenever you're talking about emotional stability by itself, you got to ask the who, what, when, where, the reporting questions, right? And to make it to simplify it a little bit also means that you have to look at yourself and say, dang, I see, talking to my love language is going to be different than talking to my significant other's love language, because you have to speak life into each other. In order for a relationship to work, it takes two parties. It takes both parties to work. And it's not easy. Individuals fall in love with this ideology that Walt Disney sold years and years ago of like, oh, you fall in love and it's happily ever after. You fall in love, and that's whenever the work starts. That's whenever the work really and truly begins, because you have to be there all the time, 24/7, 365. You have to know the ins and outs of that person. You have to know, have I laid the emotional found or the emotional security so that that woman, and create these pillars so that I can make that woman feel feminine and bask in her femininity at the same time. Because if I don't, then she's going to bring masculine energy into our realm. And masculine energy is not a bad thing for a woman, but she's already got enough going on outside of the relationship to where she's having to prove herself to all these people. She's having to do X, Y, and Z because, number one, she's a woman, and in our patriarchal society, unfortunately, she has to work 2 times harder than a man. And that's just the way it is. It's like that in the military, it's like that in law enforcement, it's like that in almost every occupation other than, let's say, education, and maybe something like psychology or something like that, because that's what women really thrive in, those environments, especially in education. They thrive in them. But you take them outside of that environment and they have to prove themselves. So what am I providing in that relationship? Am I giving her the platform to where she can be the best woman ever? And am I supporting her? You see, it's not about just the woman supporting the man, it's about the man supporting the woman as well. It's a two-way street. And it took me 45 years to get here to really learn this.
No,
45 years.
but yet the fact that you're here and you're spreading the gospel on a Sunday, I mean, this is this is great.
It
You
took a
know?
long time, but
Yeah.
that's where it really, that's one of the, really what it comes down to. And I had to look at this at myself, especially whenever I was incarcerated, and saying, well, where did I fail at in all my relationships? And it's I didn't understand emotional maturity, and I lacked it. And it took a long time to really understand what it was, because I didn't learn that in the 80s or the 90s. And then I went directly into the military. So it was absent in my presence. It was,
Yeah.
I didn't know it. So
That's so beautiful to say out loud and like just own it, and just because we are the military. It trains you to be a machine, right? You're
yeah.
going to attack. I mean, so we got to have some leeway there for someone to figure that out and reacclimate. And right now we have a couple minutes left. I'm very excited to plug where people can follow you, Anthony, and support your brand, and where you're going to announce your book launch and all the fun things you have planned. So why don't you give us your socials, your email, if a gentleman, a young man wants to get a consultation by you, or reach out to you for mentorship. Where can people find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook. It's Anthony Charpentier. My name is right there on the screen. On Instagram, it's Anthony.Charpentier Jr. On TikTok, it's Anthony.Charpentier Jr. Let's see. On LinkedIn, it's Anthony Charpentier. And my final one would be, my email address is amcjfitness@gmail.com. amcjfitness@gmail.com. So you can shoot me pretty much an email at any time. I'm going to respond to it. That is my professional email. Also, I do fitness consultations, uh, diet plans, recovery plans, supplementation plans. I've been doing that for quite some time. And you'll see me on all of my platforms. You can see I was an amateur bodybuilder at one time, and I literally have, that's my niche, is the fitness realm. I love what I do, and my clients love me. So I'm going to continue doing that on top of what my other endeavors are, as far as the custom gentleman. So, and I'm excited I would have never thought that I'm going to write a book. Never, not once in my life. But
You got so much material. Of course you're going to write a book.
you're right.
That's got to go somewhere, honey. It can't go to the grave.
I got a ton of material. So,
Woo!
and
Yes.
that's going to be, but that to me, here's there was a saying, I forgot the saying exactly, but to inspire is also to reward. And I've had so many people inspire me in my life, that it's incumbent and partly my responsibility to help others, and inspire them to be the best person that they can be. And yeah, we fail sometimes, but you just take responsibility for it. You pick yourself up and you keep moving forward. And that's truly, that's the gumption of a person. That's the gumption of character.
Hmm.
That's who you are. you
Yeah.
know that's resilience.
The
So
gumption of character. I like that. That might be your second book title. Let's hurry up and get that. Let's call LegalZoom right now. I
yeah,
love it. Well, thank you for sharing your Sunday with us, your wisdom with us. And I'm
thanks for having me.
excited to see what you do next. We'll have you back on the show again to get an update. You guys follow my friend Anthony Charpentier. He is just a badass and smart gentleman. His family is wonderful. It's really a pleasure to know you guys. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for being a positive male influence in the world. We need more like you. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Monique. I really appreciate y'all having me.
Of course. Come back
Thank
soon,
you.
okay?
Absolutely. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. All right, you guys. That was Anthony Charpentier. I'm Monique Lore. We are launching our PR campaign for the Pandemic Project documentary this week. I'm so excited. You can get your tickets on our website, and I will be posting on that. So sorry I look like trash, but it's been a lot of long days. So hopefully I'll get myself together. But thank you for joining us, and all the people who support this channel. Thank you so much for your support. And we have the Emmys event coming up September 12th in LA. If you're a brand or sponsor or anybody that wants to be involved, you can email us at capaquariusmedia@gmail.com. That's capaquariusmedia@gmail.com. Please like, share, and follow at LA Talk Radio, at The Start with Monique Lore, on all your platforms. Everywhere you can think of, we're there. That's not true. We're not on Snapchat. But I think I'm on LinkedIn. Well, I know I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all of them. What we start up today, it's a short show today. I'll see you next week. Be well.
You're listening to The Startup with Monique Lore, only on LA Talk Radio.